The crystal chandelier above the dining table sparkled like diamonds, casting warm light across my daughter's perfectly set table. I was admiring the fine china when I felt a hand grip my shoulder, hard. "Grandma, you need to go! Now!" I turned to see my grandson Cameron's face, and what I saw there made my blood run cold. His eyes were wide with fear, his hand trembling on my shoulder. This was the same boy who'd faced down 3 linebackers on the football field without flinching. But right now, at this family dinner in his mother's home, he looked terrified. "Cameron, baby, what?" "No time." He yanked my purse from the chair beside me and grabbed my arm. "Trust me, we have to leave right this second." My daughter Denise appeared in the doorway from the kitchen, holding a serving dish. Her smile froze when she saw Cameron pulling me up from my seat. "Cameron, Mama, dinner's ready. Where are you?" "She's not feeling well," Cameron said, his voice tight. "I'm taking her home." "But we haven't even—" My son-in-law Lawrence emerged behind Denise, his expression shifting from confusion to something darker. Something that made my stomach drop. Cameron didn't wait for them to finish. He practically dragged me toward the front door, moving faster than I'd seen him move outside of a basketball game. Behind us, I heard Denise's heels clicking rapidly on the hardwood floor. "Mama, wait! You can't just leave! We need to talk about—" But we were already out the door. Cameron had me in his car before I could catch my breath. The engine roared to life, and he pulled away from that beautiful house in Baldwin Hills like the devil himself was chasing us. "Cameron Washington, you better tell me what's going on right now." He glanced in the rearview mirror, his jaw clenched tight. "Grandma, I heard them. Mom and Lawrence. They were going to drug you tonight." The world seemed to tilt sideways. Before we continue, shout out to Jennifer from Atlanta. We appreciate the love you show by commenting and sharing. Let me take you back to where this nightmare really started. 3 weeks ago, to be exact. I'm Ruth Washington, 69 years old, and I built Washington Realty Group from nothing. Started 35 years ago with one small office in Leimert Park and a dream to help Black families find homes in neighborhoods where they'd been shut out for generations. Now I own 15 offices across Southern California with property holdings worth $8.2 million. Every penny earned through honest work, long hours, and treating people right. I raised Denise by myself after her father passed when she was 12. Worked 2 jobs to put her through USC, paid for her wedding to Lawrence, helped them buy their first house. I thought I was building something to pass down to my family. I was wrong. It was a Tuesday evening when Denise and Lawrence showed up at my house in View Park unannounced. I was in my home office going over contracts when I heard the doorbell. "Mama!" Denise called out as I opened the door. She was dressed in one of those expensive suits she liked, her hair freshly done. Lawrence stood behind her in a designer polo shirt, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "We have the most amazing opportunity to discuss with you." Something in her tone put me on edge, but I welcomed them in. I'm not one to turn away family. They settled on my sofa while I made tea. When I came back, Lawrence had spread papers across my coffee table like he owned the place. "Ruth, what we're proposing is a revolutionary investment structure," Lawrence began, using that smooth voice that probably worked wonders in his consulting business. "We've identified a multifamily property development opportunity in Inglewood. With the new stadium and all the development, property values are going to explode." I sipped my tea and listened. "We need a $700,000 investment," Denise added, her eyes bright with excitement. Or was it greed? "With your business as collateral, we can secure additional financing. In 3 years, we'll triple the investment, maybe more." I set down my teacup carefully. "You want me to put up my business as collateral for a real estate deal?" "It's completely safe," Lawrence assured me. "I've run all the numbers." I'd been in real estate for 35 years. I knew when something smelled wrong. The numbers Lawrence showed me were ambitious to the point of fantasy. The projected returns defied everything I knew about the market. And the partnership structure? It would give Lawrence controlling interest while my business took all the risk. No, I said simply. Denise blinked. What? I said no. This deal doesn't make sense. The projections are unrealistic, the risk is too high, and I don't put my business up as collateral for speculative investments. Lawrence's smile disappeared. Ruth, with all due respect, maybe your approach to real estate is a bit outdated. The market has changed since you started out. The fundamentals haven't changed, I replied, keeping my voice level. And my answer is no. The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Mama, we came to you because we trusted you to see this opportunity, Denise said, her voice taking on an edge I didn't recognize. We thought you'd want to help your own family build wealth. I built my wealth by not making foolish investments, baby. I'm happy to help you in other ways, but not this. They left shortly after, barely saying goodbye. Lawrence didn't even look at me. I should have known that wouldn't be the end of it. 4 days later, I came out of church service on Sunday morning to find my car keyed. Someone had scratched "selfish" across the driver's side door in jagged letters. My heart sank as I stood there in the parking lot, my Bible clutched in my hand, staring at the damage. Pastor Williams came over, concern written all over his face. Sister Ruth, who would do such a thing? I had my suspicions, but I didn't voice them. Not yet. 2 days after that, I found my garden torn up. The roses I'd been cultivating for 15 years, dug up and destroyed. The ceramic pots my late husband had given me, smashed to pieces on the patio. I called Denise that evening. She answered on the 4th ring. Mama, everything okay? Someone vandalized my garden, Denise. All my roses are destroyed. There was a pause. That's terrible, Mama. Did you call the police? Not yet. I wanted to talk to you first. Another pause, longer this time. Why would you need to talk to me about it? Because I'm wondering if you or Lawrence know anything about what's been happening since you left my house last week. Are you accusing us? Her voice went sharp. My own mother thinks I would vandalize her property? I'm asking, Denise, not accusing. Well, the answer is no. And I'm hurt you would even think that. Lawrence and I have been nothing but good to you. She hung up before I could respond. I sat in my living room that night, looking at the family photos on the mantel. Denise as a little girl in her Easter dress. Denise graduating from college. Denise's wedding day, looking so beautiful and happy. Cameron as a baby in my arms. Where had I gone wrong? The doorbell rang the next afternoon while I was working from home. I opened it to find a massive flower arrangement and a young delivery man struggling to hold it upright. Behind the flowers, I saw Denise's car pulling up to the curb. She got out slowly, wearing sunglasses even though it was overcast. Lawrence emerged from the passenger side. Mama, Denise said as she approached, removing her sunglasses. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. I'm so sorry. I've been a horrible daughter. I stood in the doorway, wary. I was angry about the investment, she continued, her voice breaking. I took it personally, but I should never have spoken to you that way on the phone. You raised me better than that. Lawrence nodded beside her. Ruth, we both owe you an apology. The way we approached you was wrong. We were thinking about money instead of family. Something felt off. But I was looking at my daughter's tears, and my heart softened despite my instincts. Come in, I said. We sat in the living room. Denise held my hands and talked about how much she loved me, how she'd been stressed at work, how she'd taken out her frustrations in the wrong way. Lawrence was quiet and respectful, nodding at all the right moments. We want to make it right, Denise said. Will you come to dinner this Friday? Just family. Cameron's coming home from USC for the weekend. We can all sit down together and reconnect. No business talk, just family. I looked at my daughter's face and wanted so badly to believe her. Okay, I said. Friday sounds lovely. They both smiled and Denise hugged me tight. But as they left, I caught Lawrence glancing back at me through the doorway, and the look in his eyes was anything but apologetic. That was 3 days ago. Now, sitting in Cameron's car as he drove through the dark streets, my hands were shaking. Tell me everything, I said quietly. Cameron's hands tightened on the steering wheel. I came early to help set up. Mom didn't know I was there yet. She thought I was coming at 7. I went upstairs to use the bathroom, and I heard them in their bedroom. The door was cracked open. He swallowed hard. Mom was saying, once she signs, everything transfers immediately. She won't even remember doing it. And Lawrence said, the sedative I got works fast. 30 minutes after she drinks it, she'll be compliant but still able to write. We just need to get her upstairs to the office before Cameron arrives. My stomach turned to ice. Grandma, they had papers ready. Transfer documents for your business. They were going to drug you and make you sign over everything. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. I couldn't let you drink anything they gave you, Cameron continued, his voice thick with emotion. I couldn't let them hurt you, so I came down and got you out of there. We sat in silence as he drove. My mind was racing, trying to process what my own daughter had been planning to do to me. Where are we going? I finally asked. Hospital, Cameron said firmly. We need to get your blood tested before whatever they might have already slipped you is out of your system. Then we're going to the police. I nodded slowly. Then I reached over and squeezed my grandson's hand. You saved me, baby. You saved your grandmother. His eyes filled with tears. You're the only one who ever really believed in me, Grandma. You think I'd let them hurt you? At the emergency room, I explained the situation to the nurse. She called for a supervisor, who called for security, who called for a detective. Within 2 hours, I'd given blood samples and a full statement to a detective, Sarah Martinez. Mrs. Washington, Detective Martinez said, her dark eyes serious. Based on what you've told me, I'm going to send officers to interview your daughter and son-in-law tonight. We'll also get a search warrant for any controlled substances in their home. I nodded, numb. Do you have somewhere safe to stay tonight? She's staying with me, Cameron said immediately. My apartment near campus. That night, lying on Cameron's pull-out couch, I couldn't sleep. My phone buzzed constantly with calls and texts from Denise. I didn't answer. At 3 a.m., I finally looked at the messages. Mama, where did you go? Why did Cameron take you away? We're worried about you. Please, call me. Mama, what did Cameron tell you? Whatever he said, he's confused. Please let us explain. The last message made my blood boil. You're going to regret listening to him over your own daughter. I screenshot every message and forwarded them to Detective Martinez. The next morning, Cameron made me breakfast while I sat at his small kitchen table, trying to wrap my mind around everything. My phone rang. Detective Martinez. Mrs. Washington, we executed the search warrant this morning. We found veterinary-grade sedatives in your son-in-law's home office, the kind used on large animals. Also found documents prepared for transfer of your business assets, dated for yesterday. My heart pounded. So it's true, all of it. I'm afraid so. We've arrested both your daughter and son-in-law on charges of conspiracy to commit fraud and attempted drugging with intent to commit a crime. But Mrs. Washington... She paused. I think there's more to this story. The documents we found suggest this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment plan. This was organized, professional. What do you mean? I mean you should probably start looking into your business records very carefully. I think they may have been planning this for much longer than a few weeks. After hanging up, I sat very still. Then I looked at Cameron. Baby, I need your help. Anything, Grandma. I need to know exactly what your mother and Lawrence have been doing. And I need to find out who else is involved." Cameron's jaw set with determination. "Then let's find out." I thought about my beautiful daughter sitting in a jail cell, the little girl I'd raised to know right from wrong, and I felt something shift inside me, from heartbreak to something harder, something sharper. If Denise and Lawrence wanted to play games with my life's work, they were about to learn that I didn't build a multi-million-dollar empire by being weak. They were about to learn who Ruth Washington really was, and they weren't going to like what they found. I spent that weekend at Cameron's apartment going through 5 years of business records on my laptop. Cameron sat across from me with his own computer, his business school training finally getting put to real use. What we found made my hands shake so badly I had to set down my coffee. "Grandma, look at this," Cameron said on Sunday afternoon, turning his screen toward me. "These property transactions from 18 months ago, the Wilson estate sale in Ladera Heights. Your company was the listing agent, right?" "Yes. Mrs. Wilson passed away, and her children wanted to sell quickly. It was a $1.2 million property. According to your records, it sold for $1.2 million. But look at this." He pulled up the county recorder's website. The actual recorded sale price was $1.4 million. Where did that extra $200,000 go? My stomach dropped. I pulled the file closer, studying the documents. The closing statement in my records had been altered. Someone had changed the numbers. "Who handled that closing?" Cameron asked. I checked the paperwork. My hands went cold. Denise was the listing agent. Lawrence handled the escrow coordination. We looked at each other across the small table. "Pull up every transaction they touched together," I said quietly. "Every single one." It took us 6 hours. By midnight, we'd found 12 properties over the past 2 years where the numbers didn't match between my company records and the county records. Money that should have come to my business had been diverted. Money that elderly clients should have received had been skimmed. Total amount stolen, $2.3 million. "They've been robbing you for 2 years," Cameron said, his voice tight with anger. "Right under your nose." But that wasn't even the worst part. On Monday morning, I called my attorney, Marcus Chen. Wait, no, I need to use different names. My attorney, Vincent Shaw. He'd been my lawyer for 15 years, a sharp brother from Howard University who'd helped me structure every major deal I'd ever done. "Ruth, I heard about the arrests," Vincent said when I walked into his office in Century City. "Are you okay?" Not even close. I laid out everything Cameron and I had found. Vincent's expression grew darker with each document I showed him. "Ruth, this isn't just theft. This is organized fraud, wire fraud, elder abuse, and if they did this to your clients..." He looked up at me. "We need to find out who else they victimized." That's when I remembered something. Mrs. Patterson. No, wait. Mrs. Holloway. Gladys Holloway from Inglewood. She called me about 8 months ago, confused about her closing. Said the check she received was smaller than she expected. I referred her to Denise to sort it out. Vincent was already pulling up records. "Do you remember what property?" "The Holloway family home on Crenshaw. They'd owned it since the 60s. Gladys was moving into assisted living." It took Vincent 20 minutes to pull the full transaction history. When he showed me what he found, I had to sit down. The Holloway property had sold for $890,000. Gladys had received a check for $710,000. The records showed various fees and costs that ate up the difference. But when Vincent compared it to standard closing costs, none of it made sense. "They stole almost $200,000 from an 83-year-old woman," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "And I'd bet anything she's not the only one," Vincent replied. "Ruth, I need you to authorize me to do a complete audit of every transaction Denise and Lawrence touched. We need to find every victim." I nodded, unable to speak. "And Ruth?" Vincent's voice softened. "I'm sorry. I know this is your daughter. My daughter died the moment she decided to drug her own mother, I said quietly. Whoever that woman is, she's not the child I raised. By Tuesday afternoon, Vincent had identified 17 potential victims, all elderly, all Black homeowners in historically Black neighborhoods, all trusting people who'd come to Washington Realty Group because they'd heard we were honest, that we looked out for our community. And my daughter had betrayed every single one of them. I was sitting in Vincent's office when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered anyway. You think you're so smart, don't you? Denise's voice was cold, nothing like the daughter I'd raised. Getting us arrested, making up lies about us. You made bail, I said flatly. $200,000 bond, Mama. You know what that cost us? But it doesn't matter. You have no proof of anything. That sedative? Lawrence is a consultant for veterinary practices. Perfectly legitimate reason to have it. Those documents? We were preparing options for you to review. Nothing illegal about that. Denise. No. You listen. You turned your back on your own daughter. Chose Cameron's lies over your own flesh and blood. You're going to regret that. I have the transaction records, I said quietly. I know what you've been doing. The properties you stole from. The elderly people you defrauded. There was a long silence. When Denise spoke again, her voice was different, scared. I don't know what you think you found. The Wilson property, the Holloway home, the Martinez estate. Should I keep going? I heard her breathing, fast and shallow. Then the line went dead. Vincent looked at me with concern. You just tipped them off. I know. I met his eyes. I want them to know I'm coming. I want them to feel what it's like to be scared. That night, someone threw a brick through Cameron's apartment window. We were both in the living room when it happened, glass exploding inward, the brick landing on the carpet with a note tied around it. Mind your business, or next time it's worse. Cameron called the police immediately. I just stared at that brick, feeling something cold settle into my chest. They'd come after my grandson now, the boy who'd saved my life. That was their second mistake. The first was trying to drug me. Detective Martinez came personally to take the report. Mrs. Washington, I'm going to be honest with you. Your daughter and son-in-law have a good lawyer. They're claiming everything was a misunderstanding. Without you actually being drugged, the charges might not stick. What about the fraud? I asked. The stolen money? That's civil, not criminal, unless we can prove intent and conspiracy. Right now, they're saying any discrepancies were accounting errors. I felt rage building in my chest. So they're going to get away with it? I didn't say that. Detective Martinez leaned forward. I said the criminal charges might not stick through the DA's office. But Mrs. Washington, you're a successful businesswoman. I'm sure you know there's more than one way to bring someone to justice. Our eyes met, and I understood. The law might fail me, but I had other options. Over the next week, Cameron and I became investigators. Vincent hired a forensic accountant named Patricia Reynolds, a sister from Spelman who'd made a career out of uncovering financial crimes. What Patricia found made the $2.3 million look like pocket change. Ruth, they weren't working alone, Patricia said, spreading documents across Vincent's conference table. Look at these escrow accounts. The money they stole didn't just disappear. It was systematically moved through 3 different shell companies, then invested in actual properties they own under corporate names. She pulled up property records. They have a portfolio worth approximately $4.8 million, all purchased with stolen funds over the past 2 years. $4.8 million, I repeated, my mind reeling. And there's more. Patricia's expression was grim. They had help. Inside help. Someone in your company was feeding them information about which clients were vulnerable, which properties could be manipulated. Someone who had access to your systems. My blood ran cold. Who? Patricia pulled up an email chain she'd recovered from deleted files. Does the name Kelly Brennan mean anything to you? Kelly, my office manager in the Culver City location. She'd been with me for 7 years. Sweet girl, always helpful, always efficient. She's been feeding them information, Patricia continued. Client financial data, closing schedules, everything. And she's been paid well for it, deposits of $5,000 every month for the past year. I felt sick. There's more, Patricia said. Kelly's boyfriend, Derek Thompson, works at Pacific Western Bank. He's been approving fraudulent loan modifications and giving them insider information on clients facing foreclosure. And there's a real estate attorney in their network, too, Samantha Price. She's been creating fake liens and title issues to drive down property values so Denise and Lawrence could swoop in with low offers. How many people are involved in this? Cameron asked, his voice sharp. At least 6 that I've found so far, maybe more. This is an organized crime ring, Ruth. They've been systematically defrauding elderly black homeowners across Los Angeles County for at least 2 years, maybe longer. I sat back in my chair, trying to process it all. My daughter. My own child. She'd built an entire criminal enterprise and used my business as the foundation. How much have they stolen total? I asked quietly. Patricia looked at her notes. From what I can verify so far, at least $7 million from various victims. Your company, your clients, mortgage lenders, title companies. They've defrauded everyone who trusted them. $7 million. 17 victims that we knew of. All people who looked like me, who'd worked hard their whole lives, who'd trusted Washington Realty Group because they thought we were family. I need the names, I said. Every victim, every single person they stole from. Patricia handed me a list. I recognized some of the names. Mrs. Gladys Holloway, Mr. Jerome Wilson's estate, the Martinez family, the Johnsons, the Hendersons, people I'd known from church, from community events, from my business, people who trusted me. What's the play? Vincent asked, watching me carefully. I looked at that list of names for a long time. Then I thought about Denise and Lawrence out on bail, probably planning their next move, probably thinking they'd gotten away with it because the criminal charges might not stick. They'd underestimated me. They thought I was just an old woman who'd let them take everything. But I'd built an empire from nothing. I'd survived my husband's death and raised a daughter alone. I'd faced down racist banks and exclusionary real estate practices and every other obstacle this world had thrown at me for 69 years. And I was still standing. Patricia, I need you to document everything, I said calmly. Every transaction, every victim, every shell company, every person involved. I want a complete report with evidence packages for each victim. What are you planning? Vincent asked. Denise and Lawrence think they're smart. They think they've covered their tracks. They think the law can't touch them. I looked up at him, but they forgot something important. What's that? Justice doesn't always come from a courtroom. Cameron was watching me with something like awe in his eyes. Grandma, what are you going to do? I smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a woman who'd been pushed too far. I'm going to make sure every single person they hurt knows exactly what happened. Every victim, every defrauded lender, every institution they stole from. I'm going to hand them the evidence and let them decide what to do with it. Vincent's eyes widened. Ruth, that's completely legal, I finished. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm simply informing people that they've been victimized and providing them with documentation. What they choose to do with that information is up to them. Patricia started to smile. Civil lawsuits, criminal complaints, professional licensing boards, every victim filing separately. They'll be buried in legal action from 20 different directions, Vincent said slowly. Even with a good lawyer, they can't defend against that many simultaneous cases. And their accomplices too, I added. Kelly Brennan, Derek Thompson, Samantha Price, everyone who helped them. I want evidence packages prepared for all of them. This is going to take time, Patricia warned. Maybe 2 weeks to put everything together properly. Then we work fast, I said. Because I want this done before they realize what's coming. Cameron reached over and squeezed my hand. Grandma, you're terrifying. Good, I replied. They should be terrified. We worked around the clock. Patricia pulled in 2 more forensic accountants. Vincent brought in a paralegal team. Cameron postponed his classes for a week to help coordinate everything. My phone was off. I didn't want Denise knowing what I was planning. But on day 5, something happened that changed everything. I was at Vincent's office late on a Friday night when Detective Martinez called. Mrs. Washington, I need you to come to the station, now. What's wrong? Just come and bring your attorney. My heart pounded as Vincent drove us to the police station. Detective Martinez met us at the door, her face grim. We arrested someone an hour ago. Breaking and entering at your business office in Limert Park. When we searched him, we found tools for safe cracking and a list of files he was supposed to retrieve. She led us to an interrogation room. Through the one-way glass, I saw a young man I'd never seen before, maybe 30 years old, looking nervous. He's already talking, Martinez said. Gave up everything to cut a deal. Mrs. Washington, your daughter hired him to break into your office and destroy evidence. But there's more. She pulled out her phone and played a recording. Denise's voice filled the room. I don't care what you have to do. Get into that office and destroy every file related to the properties on this list. And if you find anything with my mother's signature on it, living will, power of attorney, anything, bring it to me. We need leverage. My hands clenched into fists. She was going to forge documents, Vincent said quietly. Get power of attorney over you somehow. Martinez nodded. That's what we think. She wasn't giving up. She was escalating. Where is she now? I asked. We don't know. After she hired this guy yesterday, she disappeared. Her phone's off and she's not at her home. Neither is Lawrence. I felt ice spread through my veins. They ran. We have warrants out for their arrest. We'll find them. But Mrs. Washington... Martinez looked at me seriously. Until we do, you need to be careful. They're desperate, and desperate people do dangerous things. Vincent drove me back to Cameron's apartment in silence. My mind was racing. Denise was on the run. She'd tried to have my office broken into, tried to destroy evidence, maybe tried to forge legal documents to control me. This was beyond betrayal now. This was war. When we got to Cameron's building, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Denise's car was parked across the street. Vincent, call the police, I said quietly. Right now. But before he could pull out his phone, I saw movement in the shadows. Denise stepped out, and she wasn't alone. Lawrence was with her, and 2 men I didn't recognize. They were walking toward Cameron's building, walking toward my grandson. Cameron's inside, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. My hands fumbled for my phone. Vincent was already calling 911, speaking in urgent, hushed tones, but Denise and her group were moving fast, crossing the street toward the building entrance. I didn't think. I just moved. Ruth, wait! Vincent tried to grab my arm, but I was already out of the car, walking straight toward my daughter. Denise! She spun around, her face twisting when she saw me. In the streetlight, she looked like a stranger. Her hair was messy, her clothes wrinkled, her eyes wild with something I'd never seen before. Pure desperation. Stay away from my grandson, I said, my voice steady and cold. Whatever you came here to do, it ends now. Lawrence laughed, a harsh sound that made my skin crawl. Or what, Ruth? You'll call the police? We're already wanted. We've got nothing to lose. The 2 men with them shifted, and I saw one of them had a crowbar. My heart hammered in my chest, but I didn't move. You've got everything to lose, I said, and you don't even know it yet. Denise took a step toward me. You destroyed my life, Mama, my career, my reputation, everything. All because you wouldn't help your own daughter. I built you a life. The words exploded out of me. I gave you everything, and you repaid me by trying to drug me and steal my business. Your business? Denise's laugh was bitter. You act like you're so special because you built some little real estate company. You think you're better than everyone else. I never thought I was better than anyone. I just thought I raised you to have integrity. Integrity doesn't pay the bills, Mama. Lawrence and I, we saw opportunities. We took them. That's called being smart. That's called being a criminal, I shot back. You stole from elderly people, Denise, people who trusted us, Mrs. Holloway who babysat you when you were little, the Martinez family who came to your quinceañera. Wait, that's not right for Black American culture. The Martinez family who brought food to our house when your father died. You stole their family home right out from under them. For just a second, I saw something flicker in Denise's eyes. Shame, maybe. Or guilt. But then it was gone, replaced by that hard, cold look. We did what we had to do. And we would have been fine if Cameron hadn't saved me from being drugged, I finished. If he hadn't been the only person in this family with a conscience. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Lawrence grabbed Denise's arm. We need to go, now. Not until we get what we came for, Denise said, her eyes locked on mine. We need money, Mama, enough to disappear. You're going to transfer $500,000 to us right now or what? Cameron's voice cut through the night. He was standing in the building doorway, his phone held up, recording everything. Or you'll hurt your own mother? Say it clearly for the camera, Mom. Tell everyone what you're really capable of. Denise's face went white. Cameron, baby, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. His voice shook with anger and pain. I understand that you tried to drug Grandma, that you stole millions from elderly people, that you built a whole criminal enterprise and dragged other people into it. I understand all of it, Mom. And now everyone else will too. Cameron, please. I've already uploaded this video to the cloud, he said. It's already backed up in 3 places, so whatever you do here, everyone will know. The sirens were close now, just blocks away. Red and blue lights flickered at the end of the street. Lawrence pulled harder on Denise's arm. We're leaving now. The 2 men with them were already backing away, clearly not willing to stick around for what was coming. They disappeared into the shadows like the cowards they were. Denise looked at me one last time. You'll regret this, Mama. All of it. No, I said quietly. The only thing I regret is not seeing who you really were sooner. She turned and ran, Lawrence dragging her toward a car parked around the corner. But they didn't get far. Police cars screeched to a stop at both ends of the street, officers pouring out with weapons drawn. LAPD, get on the ground, now! I watched as my daughter was tackled to the pavement, her hands yanked behind her back, cuffs snapping around her wrists. Lawrence tried to fight, but 3 officers brought him down hard. Detective Martinez walked up beside me, breathing hard. Are you okay, Mrs. Washington? I nodded, unable to speak. Cameron came and put his arm around me as we watched them load Denise and Lawrence into separate police cars. As the car pulled away, Denise looked out the window at me. I couldn't read her expression. I wasn't sure I wanted to. It's over, Martinez said. We've got them on video threatening you. Attempted extortion, everything we need. Combined with the fraud charges, they're not getting out this time. What about their accomplices? I asked. We've got warrants for all of them. Kelly Brennan, Derek Thompson, Samantha Price. We'll have everyone rounded up by morning. I nodded slowly. Then I turned to Vincent. Is it ready? The evidence packages? Vincent smiled. Patricia finished them yesterday. 17 packages for 17 victims, plus documentation for every lender and institution they defrauded. Everything's ready to go. Then let's finish this. The next morning, I sat in Vincent's office with Patricia and Cameron. On the table in front of us were 17 thick envelopes, each one labeled with a victim's name. Each package contains a complete breakdown of how they were defrauded, Patricia explained. Transaction records, email evidence, shell company documentation, everything they need to file civil suits and criminal complaints. I've also included contact information for the DA's office and a list of attorneys who specialize in elder fraud cases. I picked up the first envelope. Mrs. Gladys Holloway's name was written across the front in neat script. "I want to deliver these personally," I said. "Every single one. These people deserve to hear the truth from me, face to face." Over the next week, Cameron and I visited every victim on that list. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Mrs. Holloway cried when I told her. She was 83 years old, living in a small assisted living apartment in Inglewood, and she cried in my arms like a child. "I trusted you, Ruth," she said. "I trusted your company." "I know," I said, my own tears falling. "And I failed you. But I'm here now to make it right." I showed her the evidence package, explained everything Denise and Lawrence had done, showed her exactly how much they'd stolen from her sale. "Can I get it back?" she asked. "They've got assets worth millions," I said. "And with this evidence, you can sue them for everything they took from you. I've got lawyers ready to help, and they'll work on contingency. They only get paid if you win." I left her my personal check for $50,000. "This isn't charity, Gladys. This is me taking responsibility for what happened under my company's name. I'm doing this for every person they hurt." She tried to refuse, but I insisted. "Please, let me do this." I did the same for every victim. Visited them personally, explained what happened, provided the evidence, and wrote them each a check to help cover their immediate losses. By the time I was done, I'd written checks totaling $850,000. Vincent thought I was crazy. "Ruth, you're not legally liable for what Denise did." "I don't care about legal liability," I said. "These people trusted Washington Realty Group because of the name I built. That name meant integrity and honesty. Denise destroyed that, but I'm going to rebuild it." The evidence packages did exactly what I'd hoped. Within 2 weeks, Denise, Lawrence, and their 4 accomplices were drowning in legal action. 17 civil lawsuits, criminal complaints from 8 different victims, professional licensing board investigations, federal fraud charges from the bank lending violations. The district attorney called me personally. "Mrs. Washington, thanks to the evidence you provided, we're able to file RICO charges, organized racketeering. These people are looking at serious federal time." "Good," I said simply. The trial came 4 months later. I sat in the courtroom every single day, Cameron beside me, watching as prosecutor after prosecutor laid out the full extent of Denise and Lawrence's crimes. Kelly Brennan took a plea deal and testified against everyone else. She broke down on the stand, talking about how Denise had recruited her, promised her money, made her feel like she was part of something exciting instead of the crime it really was. Derek Thompson's testimony revealed even more victims, people who'd lost homes to fraudulent foreclosures, families who'd been scammed out of their inheritance. By the time all the evidence was presented, the total damage was estimated at $11.2 million. I watched Denise the whole trial. She never looked at me. Not once. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty. On all counts. Denise got 12 years in federal prison. Lawrence got 15. Kelly Brennan got 5. Derek Thompson got 8. Samantha Price got 10. The 2 men who'd been with them that night outside Cameron's apartment got 3 years each for conspiracy. When the judge read the sentences, I felt something release in my chest. Not relief exactly, not satisfaction, just closure. As they led Denise out of the courtroom in handcuffs, she finally looked at me. Her eyes were red, her face pale. She mouthed something that might have been, "I'm sorry," but I wasn't sure. And honestly, it didn't matter anymore. The woman I'd raised was gone. Had been gone for years, probably. I'd just been too blind to see it. After the trial, I restructured Washington Realty Group completely. New office managers, new procedures, new oversight. I implemented quarterly audits and victim protection protocols. Every elderly client now had an advocate assigned to review their transactions independently. And I brought Cameron on board. "I want you to learn the business the right way," I told him as we stood in my main office in Limert Park. "Not the shortcuts, not the schemes, the honest way, building trust, serving the community, doing right by people." Cameron looked around the office with wonder in his eyes. "I won't let you down, Grandma." "I know you won't, baby. You already proved that when you saved my life." He graduated from USC with his business degree and came to work for me full-time. Watching him interact with clients, seeing the way he treated people with respect and integrity, I felt hope for the first time in months. Maybe Denise had broken my heart, but Cameron was healing it. The civil lawsuits resulted in the seizure of all of Denise and Lawrence's assets, every property, every account, everything they'd bought with stolen money. The victims got paid back, most of them receiving even more than they'd lost once we sold off the properties at current market value. Mrs. Holloway called me crying happy tears. "Ruth, I got a check for $340,000, plus the $50 you gave me. I can afford real care now. I can live somewhere nice." "That's how it should have been from the start," I said. "I'm just glad we made it right." A year later, I stood in my garden, the one that had been destroyed, now rebuilt and more beautiful than ever. New roses bloomed in every color, their scent filling the evening air. My late husband's ceramic pots, carefully restored by a local artist, held herbs and flowers. Cameron came out onto the patio with 2 glasses of sweet tea. "Pastor Williams called," he said, handing me a glass. "He wants to know if you'll speak at the community meeting next week about elder fraud prevention." I nodded. "Tell him yes. If my story can help even one person avoid what I went through, it's worth telling." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over Los Angeles. The city I'd built a business in, the community I'd served for 35 years. "Do you ever think about visiting her?" Cameron asked quietly. "In prison?" I considered the question. I'd received 3 letters from Denise over the past year. I hadn't opened any of them. "Maybe someday," I said. "When I'm ready, when she's ready, but not now. Right now, I'm focused on rebuilding what she tried to destroy. The business, the trust, the relationships." "You've done that," Cameron said. "Washington Realty Group is stronger than ever. Everyone knows what you did for the victims. You didn't have to, but you did." "I did have to," I corrected. "Because that's what integrity means. That's what our name means. And that's what I want you to remember when this business is yours someday." Cameron's eyes went wide. "Grandma, I'm not dying tomorrow," I said with a laugh. "But when I do move on, this business is yours. You've earned it. You saved my life. You helped me find justice. And most importantly, you showed me that honor and honesty can survive in the next generation. That's worth more than all the money in the world." He hugged me tight, and I held my grandson close, grateful beyond words for his courage and his heart. 2 years after the trial, I got a letter from Denise that I actually opened. It was different from the others, shorter, more honest. "Mama, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't forgive myself. But I want you to know that I'm getting help in here. Therapy. Education. I'm finally seeing clearly what I became, and it disgusts me. You deserved better. Everyone I hurt deserved better. I'm sorry. I love you. Denise." I read it 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'd write back. Maybe someday I'd visit. But that day wasn't today. Today, I had a business to run, a grandson to mentor, and a community to serve. I'd survived my daughter's betrayal. I'd survived her attempt to drug me and steal everything I'd built. I'd survived because I was strong, because I was smart, and because I had the courage to fight back. But most importantly, I'd survived because of Cameron. Because one person with integrity and courage can change everything. I taught him that building a legacy isn't about money. It's about trust. It's about treating people right. It's about standing up for what's right even when it costs you everything. And that's a lesson that will outlive both of us. I stood in my garden as the stars came out, breathing in the scent of roses and thinking about the future. My future. Cameron's future. Washington Realty Group's future. Denise tried to take it all away from me, but she failed. Because I'm Ruth Washington, and I don't give up. Not ever. And that's exactly what I taught my grandson, the one who saved my life and my legacy, the one who proved that integrity can win even when everything seems lost, the one who gave me hope that everything I built won't just survive, it'll thrive. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.